Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. I want to just take a minute and remind people that we're doing our series on gratitude, which to me is a big part of recovery. And today we're going to talk about gratitude for the recovery process, which to me is one of the most important things on the journey. So we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. I do want to start off by doing a reading. And I picked this reading because it fits right into what we're going to talk about today. The ninth step promises from the big book of AA. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down we have fallen, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in others. Self-seeking will slip away. Our attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people of economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will see that our service to God, a higher power, or the greater good has done for us what seemed humanly impossible. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled amongst us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. I wanted to read that because I really believe deeply in the ninth step promises. I look back on my own journey and my own life, and I realized when I first came into recovery, real recovery, as I call it, I got into my eating disorder program. Richard, my sponsor, used to say something to me. Every time we met, he'd say, I want you to read the nine step promises every day. He said, you got to keep reading them and reading them and reading them. And I said to Richard, okay, I want to do what you tell me to do. But now I do understand, because those nine step promises really are one of the greatest gifts of gratitude. Because I really believe, as we talk today about gratitude for the recovery process, we realize the fact that all of us, no matter who we are connected to some sort of recovery process. It's amazing how we understand this process on a physical level when we get hurt and we go through pain and stuff to that effect, go through an operation. We understand the concept of the recovering from it. And recovery is a process. It's beautiful. And yet the problem that most of us have, again, I'm speaking from my own experience, is we're compulsive people. Congratulations. And we want to do everything right away. So we're looking for the magic answer, the magic solution. And it's amazing how this really comes down to it. I'm experiencing this right now on a physical level because I pulled something in my back. I have no idea why. It goes down my leg. And I'm going to physical therapy, but they still don't know what it is because it took a week for me to finally get an MRI tomorrow. And then I have to wait another 8 days to talk to the doctor about it. So, which means that I better practice patience. I better practice tolerance. I better practice things I have to practice, which leads back into the recovery process. You see, we learn after a while, everything happens in God's time. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And there's these things to experience from it. I've also learned over the course of the recovery process that you've got to go through some sort of pain, some sort of struggle to be able to realize it, be able to get in touch with it. And that's why I love the first three steps of the program, because they talk about acceptance of reality. They talk about adjustment, adjusting to life. They talk about faith and trust. And it's all part of this process that we talk about today. And so I want to kind of take the recovery process and take it into all of our lives because it was written primarily and put together by the founders of AA. And when they put together this beautiful process of recovery, I truly believe they weren't too concerned about it becoming a process for everybody in life or a process for many other 12-step programs. I truly believe that they were dealing primarily just with alcohol. Yet as we went through the years, we began to realize this very spiritual and this very powerful, powerful process is so beautiful and so special. And we have to realize that this process is something that was developed over a period of time. But the battle we have inside of us as people is sometimes we're looking for the intellectual explanation of this process, which we can do, and we all do, but we have to learn something. There's kind of a war and a battle going on inside of all of us. That war can be taken into very many different directions. There's the war of control and fear versus spirituality and growth. And let's go into that area for a period of time. So many of us have a tendency to basically know what we're supposed to do, know that we have to do it, but basically we fight it, we battle it because we try, like everything else, to figure it out. And so very many times I have a nickname for this because I kind of bring this into my own life, in the connection of my own life. You know, for the first 44 to 45 years of my life, I lived in a world called intellectual recovery. Now, it's not a totally negative world. I was going to meetings, I was experiencing the program, but I wasn't ready to do my work. And I've experienced over the years working with people that everybody comes to their awakening. They come to what they can do when they're ready to do it. I'll never forget one of the gentlemen that I had at our halfway house in Philadelphia. You know, we used to have a nickname for him, Old Man McGonagall. You know, he was a character. And he used to fight me and battle me when it came to the program, when it came to recovery. He stopped drinking, but then basically he decided, I ain't gonna do that's enough, he said. Leave me alone. And he would go back and forth and back and forth. So when he died, I had the honor of being with him on his deathbed. He said to me, look, it took me 87 years to do the first step. So leave me alone. I'll check out the second one on the other side. I got a kick out of him. But again, in his life, what he could do as part of the recovery process, he could only do that first step. And it's the way he survived and got through life. And that's okay. There's no judgment. Because very many times in life, we have to realize the fact that we're all human beings and we're all people. We all come from different walks of life in different directions and different circumstances. Nothing's exactly the same. And everything works how we are comfortable working it. You know, they say in the program, it works if you work it. But at the same time, it says in the program, we have to have a desire. We have to be able to do what we can do. And they tell us to take what you can use and leave the rest. For some people, going in one direction works. For other people, it doesn't. I don't have answers to any of that. I wish I could sit down and work out a formula. And everybody came into the office, I would just inject that formula into their head and tell them to go home. Wouldn't that be easy, Lana? Just kind of put it right in there, go home. But we're human beings. We're not robots. I can't program anybody. I have to realize, too, that people basically have free will and they can make decisions. So very many times, even though intellectually we know we need help, we know I want to change my life, we know I'm not comfortable where I am, we know I want to do more. And with that I know thing I can say over and over and over again. How many times have people come up to you and said to you, don't you see what you're doing? You say, I know. And in reality, you don't, because your behavior, you do it over and over and over again. And so the concept is, it's only when I'm able to move from the control world and the fear world. And that's big. I'm able to control my life and my situation, and I have the fear that I'm going to lose control, then something's going to happen to me, and I have no idea, way of knowing what's going to happen. So the recovery process actually teaches us through an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for whatever you experience in the course of your life, for it will bring you a sense of growth, a sense of spirit. And you know what's interesting? I was praying on that this morning. I was part of my prayer and meditation, and something just kind of clicked in my head. It's almost like the higher power talks to you sometimes. I call God the boss, so the boss was trying to tell me something. But this thought came into my mind, because I'm very grateful. I'm not 84 yet. I'll be 84 in a couple of months, and I've never been in a hospital. I have all my parts. I feel pretty good. I take care of myself. And so now, for the first time in my life, I'm going to get an MRI. Be interesting. But the bottom line is, I stopped this morning and I said some prayers and I said, God, I think I'm beginning to get the message. You're trying to teach me the pain and the struggle that so many people my age, so many people in this development I live in, so many are going through. And that's good in a way for you to experience this, because it teaches you your humanness and it makes you begin to realize, you know, people go through so much, but for the grace of God, it could be me, it could be you. And so maybe I need to experience this and go through it. So now I do understand. So as the concept is, we have to realize the fact that so many things that happen to us in life, even when we're in recovery from an addiction, all of us have what I call slips. Might not be a physical slip, but could be an emotional slip, could be a spiritual slip, because we have our humanity connected with us. The secret is just to keep coming back, let things happen a little bit at a time, let growth take place a little bit at a time. And there are no absolutes. There's no simple way. For some people, they can only go so far. And maybe that's all they can do, and that's okay. For others, they can go deeper. They can work on things. They can discover things about themselves. I don't know about you. I don't want to ever be done. I want to keep learning, keep growing. Hope I can do that till, I don't know, 110, somewhere in that area. I'm being optimistic, got to have the power of positive thinking, right, Pete? Got to have that power of positive thinking. That's what it's really all about. And so I'm learning over and over again, you know, let's see where it goes. But we don't know. And that's where the spiritual comes into play. Because instead of having fear of the unknown, you got to be open to the unknown. You have to realize the fact that wherever it's going to go, it's going to go. Whatever the journey is, it is. Now, do I have to like it all? Of course not. Nobody likes pain and stuff to that effect. Nobody likes the fact that they're going to find out they have a disease or something. No, nobody has to like that. But I have to be able somehow, with the help of others, to embrace it, be able to accept it, to learn from it, to grow from it, and to realize the fact that this is another moment in life, another teachable moment where I can learn and I can grow and I can experience. That's the important part. That's where the spiritual part and being open to growth. See, I'd rather be open to the unknown than basically have a fear of the unknown. Now, is there a certain amount of fear? Yeah, sure. That's normal too. So there's this constant little merge. I want to put it together. This merge between control and fear and the spiritual growth and the openness to the unknown. put that little package together into a ball. At times, I am going to feel, and I'm about feelings now, not intellect. At times, I'm going to feel like I'm losing control. It's part of it. There are times in the course of all of our journey in life, we're going to experience this. And there's a fear. A little bit of fear is natural. You know, I fear that somehow, some way, I'm going to change. I fear that I'm going to get old. I fear that one day I'm going to die. A lot of fears. I fear that things aren't going to work out. And I fear about things about my children. All these things are normal. They're part of who we are. But how can I take them and merge them into the spiritual, where I have a sense that I'm learning, I'm growing things about myself as a person, and I have no idea where things are going to go in the course of my life. How long will you be here? I got a letter the other day, I love it, from the life insurance company that tells me on the day I turn 86, my policy comes to an end. Now, I can extend it for $5,000 a month. I said, what are you, out of your cotton picking mind? So I said, guess what? Let it die. I told my wife, I'm on my deathbed, right before my 86th birthday, I said, pay the 5,000 because you get it back. But come on. It's all part of it. You come down to it. That's where we have to get into those other elements of life. Part of recovery is humor. Part of recovery is openness. Part of recovery is trying. Part of recovery is realizing what I can do and what I can't do. Part of recovery is admitting, accepting. All these things are part of recovery. So it's all part of the process we're going through in life. That's why I call it a recovery process, a living process, a life process. Everything's in that constant process of going through. I look back at my own life, all the experiences, all the people, different things I met, all the teachers, things in that direction. And I realize, thank God, thank the good Lord for the gift of recovery. It's a gift. And something about a gift we have to learn. We can't take it for granted. We have to nurture it. We have to nourish it. We have to allow it to grow. And I know that's a fear involved in that. There's fear in my time. When will I make time? When will I make time to do this, make time to do that? And the bottom line is just do a little bit at a time. Take your time. Go slow. Recovery is a little bit of learning, a little bit of discovering. It's also being able to realize the fact that we have no control over anybody else either. I may not like somebody else's behavior, but I can't control anything about it because they have to be able to get to the point. That's why a lot of times parents, and I know myself included because I went through this, you worry about your kids. And sometimes you have to let them go. And sometimes you don't even know what they're doing, and it's okay too. But they're on their journey. We're all on the journey. You may not like what they're doing on their journey. You may not like where they are in their journey. You may not like a lot of things. One lady said to me, why did my daughter at age 23 get tattoos all over her body? I think she looks awful. And everybody that knows her thinks they look nice. And that gets me so aggravated when they say that. But again, it's her body. What she does to it is her choice. The concept is you can't take something and make it become hers. That's why you can't legislate recovery. You can put ideas out there. Here's the process and how it works. Now, what parts of that process can I work? And that's the most important thing. And I really believe that. I can really, on paper, and I've written stuff in some of my books and stuff, where you look at how the process is supposed to work. You go from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Now, is that nice? That means I can go to school. They can teach me the process. I never have to worry about a thing again in my life because now I have a certificate. I graduated. Well, come on, we don't graduate. Living, growing, learning, discovering, adjusting, going through different areas of life is part of what life is all about. You have to adjust accordingly. You know, you look at things with a different set of eyes, and sometimes things happen. You know, I'm a very powerful codependent. I love rituals. I mean, I have a ritual of getting up at 4:30 every morning, saying my morning prayers, eating my 2 slices of toast and my coffee, doing my meditation, posting, and then going to the gym, meeting my buddies, and having a good time with them. Well, now it's a whole month. My schedule's been out of whack. I haven't been going to the gym because I can't go to the gym. And so literally life changes. Now, will I get back there? I don't know. I hope so. See the difference? The difference is I don't know. We'll find that out as time goes on. But right now, for me to go down and work out, I'd be doing more damage to my body until I find out what's going on. So it's part of a process in life. Everything has that constant process going through life. And we have to have ups, we have to have downs, we have to have changes. We have to do things differently. Elements change in the course of our life. I never thought in my life I'd be pulling a walker out of the garage. I just we cleaned out Dorothy's house after she had passed away at the group home. We brought home a wheelchair and 2 walkers. Well, I said to my wife quite a while ago, I guess we should donate them to, the Salvation Army or someplace. And then next thing you know, I'm using one. She said, I said, don't donate them, leave them in the garage. I said, God only knows when we'll need them. You come right down to it. And that's true about life. So we learn after we move forward. But I think we're all human. What we do is we do the intellectual part first. Let me show you what I mean. I call it the gravity theory. We pick stuff up in our head. And this is the mixture tower, I call it. And everything kind of flows around, and we think we have found this. Somebody tells us about that. Then eventually, the gravity takes it down to your nose and your ears. You start to hear it, and you start to see it. So now that moved a little bit. You're starting to see things a little bit more, and you're hearing more, especially around other people. Then it gets down to your mouth, and you can talk it. And that's the easy part. You can talk it because you're going through this process. But then it comes down to your chest. And your chest is your area where we go through struggle. And so now I have to struggle with it. It's not as simple as just talking it. Now I got to start to live it and struggle with it. Then it gets down to your stomach, and I have to process it. Then the stuff that's good will then go down to your feet, and you can walk it. The stuff that isn't so good, you don't need anymore, goes out the other end. Wonderful process. Well, isn't that the process of life physically? We put food in intellectually, we process it, and then it's separated. And then we have the 2 places it goes, either out the back or down to the bottom. And down the bottom, we walk it. And so we learn in this program of recovery just to walk recovery and to really live it. Is not something that we can do in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or overnight. It's a gradual process of learning and growing and developing. And sometimes you got to hear things over and over and over again until they finally begin to make sense. A good example, my father said so many beautiful things to me. And when I was that age, I figured, oh, well, but now that he's gone, and I think back, and now that I have what I would call a mind that works on the recovery level, I realize he was teaching me a lot of wisdom. Now, why did it take me from age 26 when he died up into age 86 when I started my real recovery in OA? Why did it take me so long to finally begin to connect? The dots all came together. What he was trying to tell me. Take it easy, relax. Easy does it. I'm sure he wasn't in the rooms of recovery, especially had a lot of wine down the cellar, so I know he wasn't in the rooms of recovery. And yet he talked about easy does it, slow down. Rome wasn't built in a day, take it a day at a time, keep it simple. He was saying all those things at that very early age. Did I really understand them? No. Then later on in life, I go into some of the rooms of recovery, and the things he used to say to me are on the wall. I said, wow. I wanted to check and see if he published them or not, but he didn't publish them. But they're on the wall. And then I would go back and I look at the foundations of the gifts, even though the big book has moves into other places. And a lot of 12-step programs that are not drugs and alcohol have taken on the format of the big book. I know in my EDA program, my Eating Disorders Anonymous program, one of the first chapters are the doctor's opinion. They have the doctor's opinion from AA, but then they have 3 more doctors who gave their opinions based on eating disorders. And then you go into the book itself, and right now we're reading a chapter on agnostics. It's really great. And then how it works, and then different ways and different directions. And so the principles, the concepts, the things that are there, they're all principles for us to learn, to live by, to be connected to. But again, I'm learning over and over again. I may be at the stage where I can just take so much. Then later I can take more. A little bit at a time you grow. I used the example in my 4th step. I did my first 4th step. It really wasn't a 4th step, more like a confession. I did my first 4th step way back in the late 70s. And, I really thought I was being honest when I did it. Then when I got into OA, I did another 4th step. I was a lot more honest then than I was back then. And then I did another one later on. Each time I was able to deal with some things I didn't even know were there. And now I just completed another 4th step with my sponsor in my EDA program, and it's just interesting, the stuff that comes up, a little bit at a time. It's like you're discovering more things about yourself. So I don't look at it negatively. Yeah, I did a lot of crazy things. I made a lot of mistakes. I went through a lot of changes. And maybe I need to learn from them and grow from them. And maybe if I don't want to stop growing. And that's the secret to the recovery process, is to realize the fact that it's a spiritual process. It's a spiritual process because it's about the development of your personal self. But every one of us are different, which means I might be able to do this much. Somebody else can only do this much. Maybe there's somebody else can only do that much. It's okay. We don't judge anybody, at least we're not supposed to. And the concept is, it's what we can do. There's a good friend of mine who's been in and out of recovery so many times, talking about alcohol now. And he was in and out of recovery, I don't know how many times. And finally, over a number of years, he finally was able to turn the corner and get himself straightened out. Now, I could easily say, well, we told you all about that 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whatever it was. Why didn't you do it then? Because he wasn't ready to do it then. We all got to do it in different ways. A story is I have a lady who came to see me when she was 62 years old. And she had gone through a lot of trauma in her life and had a hard time trying to stay. She used alcohol for a long time to medicate herself, to avoid having to face some sexual abuse things, a lot of stuff. She went through 3 marriages. Her life was a total mess. At age 63, she was 62 or 63, I forget which one it was. It was in the early 60s. She was finally ready to give everything a try. And with the grace of God, she's over 21 years in recovery now. Yeah. I could say to her, because she's now in her 80s, I could say to her, why didn't you do this when you were 25 years old? Well, guess what? She wasn't ready. Nobody can predict that. There's no thing on the wall that says you're ready. I see people that have to come, have bouts with the law, all kinds of things, they got to go through changes. We see it in relationships a lot of times. People go through 5, 6 relationships before they see what they're doing and why they aren't working. And then they have to stand still and take a look at it. It's hard. It's not easy. It's all part of the process of life. But anytime you try to control either another person or even situations in your own life, and every time you live in fear that's not going to work. People in Al-Anon know exactly what I'm talking about. How many times in Al-Anon meetings have people said it's only a matter of time till he or she uses again? Fear. It's a natural process. And yet at the same time, you have to realize the fact you have no control. And a lot of people don't like that. I didn't like it. My first Al-Anon meeting I went to in 1969. I went there because I was living with an alcoholic pastor. And I still got a little, I'm still maybe I might be still having a resentment against some of those people. Was I went there and they would not give me the formula to fix the pastor. It was strange, very strange people kept telling me to work on me. I didn't need any work. What do you mean work on me? I didn't come here for that. I want you to teach me how to fix him. Now, it took a lot of time to get that through this head of mine. I'm thankful to them today, but you know, for a little while there, I thought they were a very strange group of people down in Vineland, a very strange group of people. But eventually we all learn, we all grow. Isn't it amazing? I've often said this. We have to come through the fire to finally be able to see the beauty inside of ourselves. It's the story of the caterpillar and the butterfly. That butterfly, that beautiful butterfly, had to go through a lot to finally make it out of the caterpillar and into the butterfly. Just like us. Sometimes we got to go into the dirt to come out, to take the shower and clean up. Who knows? Nobody knows. And nobody should be judging. It's not your job to judge anybody else. But each one of us is unique. Each one of us does the things that work for us. And each one of us finds the journey we need to find. That's what recovery is really all about. And so today, I just wanted us to spend some time in your own life and just look at your spirit of gratitude for all the gifts you've been given. Gratitude for the struggles, gratitude for the growth. Try to have gratitude for all things in the course of your journey. So let us pray. God, we come before you in prayer. We ask the God of our understanding, our higher power, or our divine presence, to guide us and be with us on the journey of life, to teach us to be able to be part of this beautiful process. Teach us to realize that you are constantly sending teachers, you are sending individuals into our life to be our teachers, for us to grow and learn. We thank you for the struggles. We thank you for the pain. We thank you for the examples. We thank you for all the things that brought us forward. Teach us to let go of control. Teach us to release our fears. Teach us to be open over and over again to your spirit, and from your spirit to be open to keep growing, learning, and discovering, which is the gift of life and all that we do. So we pray and we ask for these gifts. We pray for these gifts in the course of our journey. And we ask these through Christ, we ask these through God our Lord. Amen.